Hello everyone, it is time for some what ifs. More precisely, part 3 of what if Bardock went with Goku to Earth. Now, I had some issues writing this one, part of it being writer's block, part of it being, slightly embarrassing to admit to, but let's just say you need to save often whenever you are, how we should say this, writing anything on a Word document. I did not and paid the price, and thus our delay. However, we are here. It is go time. And let's just say, looking back at one of the polls, you'll get your wish in a way. After all, Shinron may just give you what you ask for, but sometimes you get the monkey's paw. Don't know what I mean? Stay tuned. Now, before we get this thing started, I have a couple things I want to say. One, speaking of fathers, referring to Bardock here, today is Father's Day. And I spent a good deal of time visiting and hanging out with my own father. And let me just say this. If you see this, Father, Happy Father's Day. Now, that being said, this next comment is a shout out. And yes, I'm bringing shout outs back to the channel. And this one is to the mother of Goku, Gine. Hi, Gine. Everyone should go check out her channel and show her some love. Now, that being said, let's get on with this. In the previous entries of this What If, we saw the father of Goku, Bardock, escape the destruction and death that he would have faced, and ended up raising his son on our planet, alongside with the aid of old Gohan, who, thanks to Bardock, doesn't die. So, gotta like it. Or at least I know Gohan does. Now, if you are just tuning in for part 3, part 1 and 2 is on the channel, go check those out. However, the name Goku, it never happened. Since Bardock was there with his son, the boy was always just called Kakarot. And young Kakarot ended up being a little bit stronger than what we're used to in canon. But let's focus on what happened after Emperor Pilaf's attempted wish. Now, in the time since Pilaf's failed wish, Kakarot, the son of Bardock, began training in earnest under Master Roshi. Yep, the old pervert himself. And was joined by Krillin. Now, like in canon, they're not exactly friendly to start off with. Well, Kakarot's friendly, but you know how it goes. And Bulma decided to take the technology provided by the Saiyans to her home at Capsule Corporation for studying it in the hopes of making some use of it. Meaning that the space pods, the armor, the scouter, getting looked over by the people at Capsule Corp, and if we know Dr. Briefs like we do, well, I don't want to spoil it for you. Now, there is one person that didn't stay home. And well, standing in the early morning light of Mount Paozu was the father of Kakarot, Bardock. He stood scowling at the person who had just decided to show up on his doorstep, and he just shook his head with disgust. The old man, being old Gohan, stood behind him and just raised an eyebrow. "Are you serious?" said Bardock to the man before him. "You want me to train the man who claims to be my son's rival? Have you any idea as to the audacity you are showing me, boy?" Yamcha flinched at the older man's words, but he held his ground. Sure, Kakarot is an alien, but he's strong. And Yamcha was sure Bardock had a lot to do with that. He sought out this man only a month after leaving with Bulma and deciding he didn't want to be left behind Goku. Oh, I'm sorry. Kakarot. You forget sometimes that the boy isn't as we know him. "Well," said Bardock irritably, Are you man enough to answer me at least? Yeah, replied the bandit. I'm well aware of this being insane. Just the audacity of asking my rival's father for training, but I don't care. I will take any training you dish out. I have to beat him. I know it's something you probably won't even agree to, but when I fought your son, I just know I have to beat him somehow. Bardock just grinned maliciously at this human. And then he said, just with a cold smile on his face, I like your drive, boy. However, let me tell you now. You want me to train you up? You will see hell like you've not witnessed on this planet. So tell me, Yamcha, do you still want to step up? Yamcha grit his teeth and held his ground. No matter what, he wanted to get strong, not just to beat Kakarot, but to be able to prove that he was the strongest man alive. After all, he thought to himself, Bulma would be head over heels for a tough guy like that, right? Bring it on! I won't back down, not to Kakarot, and not to you either! Good answer, said a voice behind Yamcha. He turned to see old Gohan smiling. This was a bizarre smile. One at a glance would think something is wrong. And they would be right. You see, Kakarot wasn't trained by Bardock alone. Old Gohan is the reason why the boy had a form, a style, instead of just being a brawler. And as Yamcha opened his mouth to greet the man, he noticed a gleam in Gohan's eye. An unsettling one at that. Answer me honestly, my boy. What drives you? Yamcha opened his mouth to repeat what he said to Bardock, but he shut it. He stared at Gohan and closed his eyes. What really brought him here? The memory of his fight with Kakarot played in his head, and look in the boy's eyes as he stood up and sent Yamcha flying take focus. Those eyes. That boy's eyes were fearless. And just saw a good fight, a challenge. And Yamcha, he wanted to rise to it. If you seek instruction, said the old Gohan kindly, snapping Yamcha out of his reverie, then prepare yourself. Kakarot will be thrilled for his rival to be strong. After all, a good rival's a good motivator for training. Yeah, you think so? Just remember, my boy, Kakarot was trained by both of us. So prepare yourself, Yamcha. Training begins now. And thus would begin one of the longest periods of time in Yamcha's life, as not just a martial artist, but as a man. Not for the length of time training, no, but for the severity of it. He would train under the duo until the Red Ribbon arc. Here, he would prove to be a valuable ally. Now, while Yamcha was bestowed a regiment so intense that even the denizens of Hithel, yes, I said Hithel, I could because of the old translations and censorings, but we know it's hell. Well, let's just say they would find this training a little harsh themselves. We turn our attention to young Kakarot. With the tutelage of Master Roshi, the already strong boy was able to grow faster than he had in the canon. However, the jealousy, the just outright jealousy that Krillin had toward the Son of Bardock would be greater as well. Through their challenging training, Kakarot was always 2 steps ahead of him, and finally the breaking point was struck. Why are you so tough? Yelled Krillin in frustration, the 40 kilograms turtle shell sliding from his back. How are you this much stronger than me? We're the same age, and I came from a temple and trained! Kakarot stared in shock at this outburst. He thought they were having fun together, training. Him and his father always seemed to enjoy training, so why was Krillin mad at him? I
don't know what you mean,
said a very confused Kakarot.
I mean, I trained with my dad and grandpa a lot, but... Aha!
Exclaimed Krillin, pointing his finger.
You have prior training as well. Who are they? What kind of regiment did you follow? Where did you train? What kind of juice did you drink?
Kakarot stared blankly at his friend and slowly backed up. Scratching the back of his head, he just replies,
My dad is a proud Saiyan warrior, and so am I. We did all sorts of stuff like climbing mountains one-handed, running for a solid day without stop. Oh, and we were carrying various rocks on my back. Oh, and we trained at my home at Mount Paozu, and I don't think I drank any juice.
Krillin just stared at Kakarot for a solid 5 minutes without blinking. And I'm not talking like Planet Namek 5 minutes. If it was that, we'd be here all day. Finally, the gears started clicking and moving, and Krillin blinked. Saiyan? The hell's a Saiyan? And what is all this does for training? What?
Kakarot? What is a Saiyan? Is it like a country or something?
Nation? Nope. Me and my dad are the last of an intergalactic race of warriors.
So, you are an alien. Come on, if you didn't want to say, you didn't have to keep... You could have just told me and not lied.
Kakarot's jaw dropped at Krillin.
But it's true! Me and Dad are from planet Vegeta!
Krillin just rolled his eyes and reached for the turtle shell, ready to just plow ahead, but stopped. He stared at his fellow disciple and started thinking. Kakarot was ridiculously strong for his age, had a tail, and claimed that he and his dad were from space. No matter how much Krillin wanted to deny it or pass it off as a lie, the truth glared at him. Kakarot might actually be a spaceman, a bona fide alien.
Hey, Kakarot,
said Krillin, picking up his shell.
If you're really an alien, why come to Earth?
Kakarot was quiet for a moment, deep in thought, very uncharacteristic for him, and replied,
Well, my father brought us here when our planet blew up. Or that's what he said when I asked.
Krillin went quiet again, pondering this. The young man looked at the shell and then his fellow student and back again. Krillin quickly scooped up the shell and tied several heavy rocks to it, determined to train harder than Kakarot. He would show that humans were strong as well.
Krillin? Are you okay? You're kind of wobbling.
This is nothing. Humans are strong too.
In time, both boys would participate in the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament, the Tenkaichi Budokai. And well, Kakarot may be stronger than he was in the canon, but he will still lose to Jackie Chun in the end. How, you may ask? Well, when the inevitable happens and Kakarot transforms to begin running amok, he loses his tail. And well, at this point, having lived his entire life with the appendage, and considering he never lost it and could train without it during the time after the Pilaf saga, the poor boy just isn't able to keep up. So off his game that he loses. Although the margin of loss this time was much narrower. But after the tournament and eating poor Jackie Chun, aka Master Roshi, out of his entire prize money, Kakarot returns to Mount Paozu, eager to tell his father and grandfather of his battles, and regrettably the loss of his tail in the tournament. Unfortunately, when he returns home,
Father! Grandpa! I'm back!
Instead of his family, Kakarot is greeted by a man with a rough-lived form. He just stares down at Kakarot and smiles.
Welcome back, Kakarot.
Yamcha said with a grim smile.
Huh, lost your tail, huh? Well, that's alright. When you're ready, it's time for a rematch.
Kakarot just stares up at Yamcha warily and notices his father standing behind the bandit. Bardock just smiles and nods before glancing at Yamcha. The Saiyan stares back at Yamcha's back for a moment before setting his eyes on the sun.
Welcome home, Kakarot. In your absence, this one has come to train. He's determined to fight you. What do you have to say, Kakarot? Well, boy, what do you have to say? Are you a warrior?
Yes, sir.
And Kakarot fell into his stance immediately, as did Yamcha. Moments later, the entirety of Mount Paozu was filled with the sounds of battle. The two boys giving their all to show who was strongest.
Yeah!
Yeah!
The duo clashed repeatedly until... Having quite enough, came Gohan's voice from the cabin.
You two have both gotten stronger. However, if you continue your battle here...
He began gesturing at the area around him. The boys just followed his gestures, glancing about. The terrain was understandably disturbed. The boulders were busted, the fields felled, trees toppled, and even part of the cabin crushed by the two fighters. Kakarot and Yamcha just looked at each other awkwardly, and then at Gohan's smiling face. And just for a frame of reference here, folks, it's not a friendly smile.
So, my boys,
Said old Gohan kindly, that glint in his eye.
are you ready to clean up your mess?
Well, sometime later, and after much catching up around the dinner table, Kakarot tells everyone that he was thinking of gathering the Dragon Balls. The three men just looked at each other, looked at Kakarot. Why does he need the Dragon Balls?
Kakarot, what do you need with those wish orbs? Yeah, what could you want?
Well, you were wanting to know more about them, Father, so I wanted to bring them to you.
Bardock was taken aback. It's true, he was very curious about the powers of these orbs. And then he just smirks and nods at his son. There was a glimmer of pride in those eyes of his. Pride in his son as a warrior, and pride in his son as a father. There was a wish he wanted to try, and one that plagued his thoughts quite often. And it seemed Kakarot had picked up on this desire for the Dragon Balls as well. The next statement, however, caused him to just stop and stare, along with old Gohan and Kakarot.
Well, if you're going Kakarot, then I'm going too!
Said a resolute Yamcha, standing up.
Why?
Well, if you're gonna go forth and hunt these Dragon Balls, then you can find some really tough guys to fight. And plus, I want to show you my full power!
Old Gohan just smiled at Yamcha. The boy had grown quite a bit under the tutelage of himself and Bardock, and had changed for the better. The Desert Bandit had grown much stronger, and in fact, Gohan would wager that Yamcha was not too far behind Kakarot. However, the biggest growth came in the form of maturity, a maturity born from the strict training of Bardock. One that came with a very unfortunate moment when Bardock caught Yamcha muttering about wanting to make Bulma love him for his strength. It's a story for another time, folks, and let's just say training was halted for a few days.
Well, as long as you agree that my father gets his wish,
Said Kakarot, uncharacteristically stern.
Yeah, well, as long as you agree to let me get the first crack at any tough guys,
Said Yamcha with a smirk. The boys stared each other down, took a stance, and then just started smiling. And after busting up and laughing, they began their preparations for what was to come next. And what comes next, folks? Well, let's just say the Red Ribbon Army becomes more of a pity case. General Silver, he didn't even get a chance to fight Kakarot. Yamcha got a hold of him and took him to school. And you want to know how he ended this? Well, his brand new technique. What does he call this technique? Well, the Wolf Fang Lancer. And move combining Yamcha's Wolf Fang Fist and Bardock's Tyrant Lancer. Let's just say Silver survives, but he's not going to be fighting anybody. We move on to Muscle Tower's commands. Well, the two boys flexed on them. Flexed hard. They stood no chance as the two warriors tore through everything. However, Metallotron did succeed in slowing them down. And for the record, folks, it turns out Ader was more friendly than before, partly because there's two of these guys here to help him. As we move on, Ninja Murasaki, I actually feel sorry for him in this canon. Yamcha took him apart with the classic Wolf Fang Fist. As for White himself, the leader of this group, he just got a double punch in the face and that was game over. Now, this is where things start falling a little bit more in line with the canon. General Blue. He's the first threat the duo faces that actually causes him to stumble. And why? Well, General Blue's power, his telekinesis, is enough to cause Yamcha issues. And while Kakarot's trying to figure that out, General Blue is on the attack. But the boys still end up beating him, thanks to a certain gag character. And I will go on record saying, not exactly the biggest fan of Dr. Slump, or RL, or RL, or however you want to say her name. Arale? Yeah, Arale. But General Blue met his match, and lost his life still to Mercenary Tao. Mercenary Tao. The man who rides throne pillars and trees. Well, despite being stronger than he was in the canon, Kakarot, much like in the canon, cannot defeat Mercenary Tao. And the only thing that changes here is that Bora, the father of the child Kakarot saves, is not killed. And you want to know how this man survives his run-in with the business end of his own spear? Yamcha. Using the Wolf Fang Fist to destroy the spear and save Bora's life. Incensed by this, poor Yamcha ends up with a broken leg much sooner in the canon. And well, he thinks he ends up killing Kakarot, mostly thanks to Yamcha acting, how we should say, over acting. To be more precise, when Mercenary Tao unloads the Dodon Ray upon the poor unsuspecting Kakarot, the boy only has enough time for
Dodon what? Blah!
followed by
Kakarot, no! You bastard! You killed him!
Kakarot twitching on the ground, starts trying to make a noise, and Yamcha just screams,
You mother...
haha, almost said it on YouTube. Almost said it. Tao thinks about killing Yamcha, but realizing that breaking his leg was enough, and leaves him. Well, as both warriors start recovering, they proceed to try to make it up Korin's tower, with Bora carrying Yamcha on his back. You know, he's grateful at least. Good stuff. Well, on Korin's tower, Kakarot manages to get his hands on the sacred I lean forward to you, all my warriors. Yamcha makes an attempt at the Sacred Water Challenge. And, as I lean back, it goes as you would expect. The man can't keep up. I mean, the man's got a broken leg. What do you expect? And in time, Yamcha will succeed. I'm not that cruel to the Desert Bandit. I actually like him. Despite, me acting otherwise as a certain other Saiyan. By the time he succeeds and is healed up enough, Kakarot has wrecked the Red Ribbon Army. And what happens next? Well, they head out to the Diablo Desert, the place where they met.
Will this work?
Asks Kakarot, hopping off the Nimbus.
Yeah!
Replies Yamcha, disembarking his hover cycle. A recent acquisition from Capsule Corporation. Let's just say that space pod's starting to affect things a little faster. And as the two men walked toward a very familiar backdrop, they took their stances. It was time for a proper rematch, one with no interruptions, no hesitation. And both of them stared the other down, grinning.
Yeah!
The two of them began trading blows, each vying to crack the other's guard. Yamcha unleashed a barrage of kicks at Kakarot's flank, and Yamcha's attacks were deflected. And as they were, Kakarot unleashed a barrage of punches for Yamcha's neck. The two boys kept parrying and blocking, stopping only for a moment to catch their breaths, grinning like fools the entire time. And well, hours passed this way, until...
Hey, Yamcha? Wanna end this already?
Yeah! Let's end this! With a bang! You ready?
Yeah!
Yeah! Yeah! Wolf! Fang! Lancer!
Kame! Hame! Ha!
The two attacks clashed, and in the end...
That was a good fight.
said Kakarot with a smile before collapsing. His opponent, however, hears not a word. Yamcha was silent, having already passed out from the attack. After waking up the following morning, the duo would go their separate ways to train. Yamcha would seek out Roshi and Kakarot his father. However, the boy would bring a gift. And this is Father's Day, folks, so it's one heck of a gift. That gift is...
So, this is it, huh? Oh my.
They stared on as all 7 Dragon Balls began glowing. And immediately, in a flash of brilliant light,
I am the Eternal Dragon. State your wish.
Bardock just blinks. He had seen a lot in his life. I do mean a lot. The man went planet to planet conquering things. And yet, a wish-granting dragon in the flesh. Scales. He didn't care. Gohan's reaction was a very subdued, well, who would have thought it? The legend was real. Kakarot, well, he's Kakarot. A rose by any other name is still Goku. And well, the dragon is just staring at these 3 men, getting irritated.
State your wish.
More silence.
Come on. It's not every day you see a wish-granting dragon. But please state your wish.
More silence.
If you have no wish, I will leave.
Finally, Bardock snaps out of it.
Dragon!
What?
You grant any wish, right?
If it is within my power.
Bardock closes his eyes. He looks down at Kakarot and looks back up the dragon.
Dragon! Are you able to revive people from the dead?
Gohan raises an eyebrow.
If it is recent enough, I can.
Dragon, I want you to bring my wife, my mate, Gine, back here immediately.
Kakarot just stared wide-eyed at his father. Gohan laughs under his breath.
My. All these years of me calling Gine his wife finally paid off.
However, Bardock paid no attention to this. He stared at the dragon fiercely, ready to see his mate once more. In part, because he missed her. Yes, for those of you who missed part 1, this Bardock is an amalgam of Dragon Ball Zero, Dragon Ball Minus, Dragon Ball Super Broly, Bardock father of Goku, many different specials and all that. In fact, I'm pretty sure Dragon Ball Zero is not a thing. I think I meant Dragon Ball Minus there. Pretty sure. And in any case, the words that Bardock hears are,
It is beyond my power.
What? The hell do you mean, Dragon? Bring her back now!
She has been dead far too long.
Alright, can you bring back Planet Vegeta at least?
I cannot do that either.
Damn it.
he looks down at Kakarot, and then something strikes him. He looks back up the dragon.
Alright, Dragon. At the very least, can you answer me one question?
If it is within my power.
Are there any Saiyans left alive? Besides me and my son?
Shinron's quiet, and he says,
Yes.
Bardock is quiet. There are other survivors. He has to know.
Dragon!
Your wish was granted.
Wait! Can you at least tell me the name of one of them? Is one of them Raditz?
The dragon is quiet for a moment. In a rare act of mercy, he just simply says,
Yes.
and vanishes. Bardock is quiet. Kakarot looks up at his father.
Father? Is Raditz my...
Yeah. He's the brother I keep telling you about. My first son. Makes sense that he'd be able to survive. The boy's smarter than I gave him credit for.
Gohan is quiet. He doesn't dare intrude upon this moment. This joyous moment in Bardock's life where he gets the answer he wanted. There are still survivors of his people out there in the stars. And his son is one of them. Bardock starts walking off toward the cabin, with Kakarot following behind him. Gohan just smirks and follows after him. Bardock just looks at Kakarot and says,
We're gonna train you up, boy. And when those Dragon Balls are ready again, We'll wish your tail back or something.
Alright! Kinda miss it.
Well, you gotta be a proper Saiyan, don't you? One of these days, you'll meet your brother. When you do, you need to look the part. Whether that friend of yours is finished analyzing everything. Oh my.
And as the three went inside, elsewhere, out in space,
Hatcha! What's wrong there, Raditz? You getting cold, are ya? Who shut up?
Raditz glares at Nappa.
Felt like someone was talking about me behind my back. Oh, don't worry, buddy.
Said Nappa, clapping him on the back hard enough to knock the Saiyan over.
After all, everyone talks about you behind your back. You're weak as dirt.
However, this mirthful moment is cut short by a voice saying,
Enough, Nappa.
Nappa turns and looks back.
You're right, Vegeta. Sorry. I got ahead of myself.
However, this conversation would remain completely unknown. And, as time progressed, moved forward even more, Kakarot would find himself on his way to another tournament. But that, my dear viewers, is a story for another time. So, if you enjoyed this content, well, no, I can't even do this outro yet. No. That'd be improper of me, wouldn't it? So, instead of doing just a straight outro, I have to say, what do you expect to happen next? Do you expect Raditz to pull the same stunt as before, when he finally meets up with his brother and father? Or will something else happen? You'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, and once again, I gotta say, this took far longer than necessary to get out to you guys, but here we are and ready to rock. So if you enjoyed this content, then please leave a like, comment down below what you'd like to see next, and if you have yet to, I implore you to subscribe. And you see that bell notification icon over there? Well, you need to unload a
Wolf Fang Lancer!
on that button so you'll be alerted when new content is available. And I realize after the fact that I did not explain what Wolf Fang Lancer truly was. Imagine a Tire Lancer that fires off of a wolf's head. Why? Well, we got a theme going for this Desert Bandit, we might as well keep it going, you know? So, with that being said, folks, if you left a like, commented, subscribed, and hit that bell notification icon, there's not much to say or do here, is there? Except for one thing, and that is for me to tell you that I will see you all in the next video!